For this week's episode, we'll be making ketchup. To make ketchup, you'll need to gather your ingredients, chop some tomatoes, chop some onions, make a slurry, add onions to a hot pan, add those spices, add those grape tomatoes, add tomato paste, add that slurry we made earlier, let it bubble, and blend it all up. That's how you make ketchup. To make this ketchup, you're going to need to gather 1 pint of organic red grape tomatoes, 6 ounces of tomato paste, half of an onion, half a cup of red wine vinegar, 2 tablespoons of honey, 1 teaspoon of cornstarch, and an array of spices. You're going to need to gather 1 teaspoon of red pepper flakes, half a teaspoon of garlic powder, cinnamon, and black pepper, a 1/4 teaspoon of allspice and cumin, and a bay leaf. Don't forget the bay leaf. Also, you're going to need a pan, a spatula, and a blender. After you've gathered your ingredients, you will need to chop up your tomatoes and onions. Time to get choppy. Chop to it. Hammer, hammer. We have our tomatoes chopped. Now it is time to chop up our onion. Fun fact, at this point in chopping this onion, I have begun to cry. If you don't enjoy crying over onions like me, you can refrigerate your onion beforehand, and that makes you less likely to cry. Scientifically, there's probably a reason for this, but yeah. We've chopped up our onion, and now it is time to mix together our slurry. So for our slurry, we're going to take that half cup of red wine vinegar and mix together the 2 tablespoons of honey, and then finish it up by mixing in the cornstarch. So the reason we're making the slurry is basically because you want to make sure that your cornstarch is evenly distributed in some type of liquid before you add it to our tomato sauce later on. And the point of adding a slurry is so that it will help thicken the sauce into a real sauce-like glooper. All right, that's our slurry. Once you've mixed together your slurry, heat up a pan on medium-high heat. Add approximately 2 tablespoons of oil to the pan. Wait for it to heat up and add those chopped onions. We've got these onions sizzling in the pan. We're going to cook them away until they begin to become pretty much translucent. And once that happens, we add in our spices. You can see those onions getting nice and translucent. That means it is time to add in our spices. that our spices have cooked away with our onions, the spices are smelling good, we're going to now add our chopped up red grape tomatoes. As you can see, our tomatoes are clearly cooking down. They are much easier to squish with my spatula. And that means we're almost ready for the next step, which is to add in the tomato paste. We are next adding in our tomato paste. Our bay leaf. there. It's gonna work secretly undercover in our ketchup sauce to make it real tasty. We're next gonna add that slurry. This slurry has the vinegar and the cornstarch in it, also the honey, which adds a little sweetness in contrast to the tartness of the vinegar and the acidity of the tomatoes. But the cornstarch in there is the really important aspect of the slurry because it is going to thicken up our sauce and make it super creamy. Make sure to keep constantly stirring, especially when it begins to really bubble away like you see here, so that you prevent burning the ketchup from the bottom of the saucepan. I've also here put the stove on a lower temperature, like medium-low, not quite a simmer, but just enough so it doesn't burn on the bottom. Alright, look at that. It is becoming much more sauce-like. You can see that the ketchup has really begun to thicken. It's gotten more of a glossy sheen to it. At this point, it is pretty much done. You can also continue to simmer away just for more of that spice infusion if you like. So it is up to you. Just make sure it doesn't cook down all the way so that all the liquid is cooked out and you're left with like a sad, clumpy mess. And our ketchup is nearly done. So turn off that stove and hop on over to our blender and carefully pour your nearly made ketchup into the blender. And also don't forget to take out your bay leaf. Forgot to show you that, but you don't want blended up bay leaf bits in there. Unless you do, then by all means keep it in there, but I recommend you take it out at this point. And careful, because your ketchup is hot, hot, hot. And seal it up and blend away. Ketchup has been thoroughly blended and we are finished. You have some fresh ketchup. Look at that. Look at that saucy stuff. Thank you all so much for cooking along with me, and I hope you enjoy your homemade ketchup.